So the last thing we're going to really talk about is that you may want to actually manually draw, not manually, digitally, I guess, draw shapes on your map. Okay, so here we're going to show you how to draw some circles, and it will be pretty obvious how you do that. And then we'll show you how to draw some rectangles, and then we'll show you how to add a legend. So these couple of commands will get you started, and then there's obviously more. These couple of commands will get you started on really annotating and kind of drawing on your map in very useful ways. And we're going to give you an example of at least drawing with a circle in a way that you might actually want to do. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, so this is a nice example because it's sort of along the lines of something you might really want to do. So here, what we have is a collection of cities. So we have the cities, their names are Baltimore, Frederick, Rockville, Gaithersburg. These are all cities right around Baltimore, okay? And it gives you the population here, okay? And it gives you the latitude and the longitude, okay? So now we're going to take our cities data set, we're going to pass it to Leaflet, we're going to pass the output of that to add tiles. Okay, now it's got our mapping data. And then we're going to add circles. So remember, we talked about the add circles command in the last lecture, okay? But now we're going to pass it some important options. So the weight, we'll show you what happens when we change that. But we want the radius to be scaled relative to the population of the cities. Okay, so this is a more reasonable use of adding circles than just having them as the markers. Okay, so here let's go ahead and do it. Oh, I gotta actually get the cities. There we go. All right, and then see here. So we've got Baltimore is a much larger city, say, than Annapolis in terms of population. Okay, and so the size of the circle is representative of the population. Let's change that weight to, let's say, 10. And that's the way to really look at options, is just make them much bigger. Okay, there, now you see what weight does. It does the kind of the outline of the circle. Okay, just to make it even more apparent, let's do it to 100. So yeah, when you're looking at options, just make them as extreme as you can, and then that'll show you what they're doing. Okay, so that looks terrible, but now we understand what the weight does. Okay, there we go. Let's get it back just because it looks way better at weight equal 1. Okay, now let's just try doing a rectangle just to show you what adding a rectangle looks like. So we're going to take Leaflet, add tiles, and then we're going to add a rectangle. But this time, just to show you, we're going to give you one rectangle. And in this case, with the rectangle, you're just giving it 2 corners. Okay, so remember, all you need for a rectangle is 2 opposite corners. It can't be 2 corners on the same line, 2 opposite corners. Okay, there's a rectangle. All right, so apparently we're rectangling the Mountain View Corporate Center. Okay. Now let's cover the final thing, which is adding a legend. So it would be a very common task where you want to add circles or add annotations like these rectangles and circles, but you want them to be of a different color, and then you want a legend so that the user of the map can understand what each of the separate annotations means. Okay, so here we have a data frame that's got 20 points, and the colors are going to be red, blue, and green. And so there we go. Okay, so let's just look at this data frame real quick. Head data frame will do that for us. Okay, so we've got a bunch of latitude and longitude points and colors, blue, red, green, and so on. Okay, now we're going to take our data frame, we're going to pass it to Leaflet, add the mapping data. Now we're going to add the circle markers, only now the only difference is we're going to have them be colored by their random color that we generated. Now, of course, when you're doing this on your own, you're going to want your colors to be important, like this county is going to tend to vote Democrat and this other county is going to tend to vote Republican or something like that. And in that case, you, of course, want the colors to not be assigned at random. Okay, so hopefully that point's not that hard. So now the last thing, and the only thing we want to talk about, is adding a legend. Okay, so adding a legend operates a lot like the legend command in base R plotting. Okay, so the labels are just letters 1 to 3, and that's not anything in specific. We just made up labels in this case. So if you type letters, that's just predefined vector in R. So if you type letters 1 to 3, it just gives you ABC. Okay, so there we're just making up. You would obviously want this to be set, say for example, to Democrat, Republican, other, or something like that. Okay, and then the colors are blue, red, and green. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, and then you'll see your legend right up here. Okay, so that tells you what the colors of your dots means. And of course, in your example, you'll have more meaningful colors and more meaningful dots, but now you know how to do it. Okay, so I hope this was the last lecture on Leaflet. I hope you found it useful. Honestly, I think Leaflet is probably one of the most useful things we'll cover in this class, and you can use Leaflet in conjunction with Shiny to create some really amazing applications. And nonetheless, I think this is one of the easiest interactive plotting utilities that you have in R, and certainly is worth your time to learn. Okay, thanks, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.